Good evening, my dear friends. Tonight I want to speak to you about one of the most misunderstood subjects in all of human experience: wealth. Not the accumulation of money, not the acquisition of possessions, not the manipulation of external circumstances to increase your bank balance. I want to speak to you about wealth as it truly is, a state of consciousness that you can enter right now, regardless of your current financial circumstances. Most people believe they will feel rich when they get money, but I tell you tonight that you will get money when you feel rich. This reversal of cause and effect is not wordplay. It is the fundamental principle upon which all manifestation operates. Wealth is not something you achieve. It is something you are. And you can be wealthy right now in this moment before a single external circumstance changes. The revelation that transformed my understanding of wealth came through observing a remarkable man who attended my lectures for months. He was well dressed, spoke with confidence, carried himself with natural authority, and radiated an unmistakable sense of prosperity. Other students would often ask him for business advice, assuming he was quite successful financially. One evening after a lecture, this same man approached me with a curious expression. "Neville," he said, "I must tell you something remarkable. Everyone here assumes I'm wealthy because of how I carry myself, and the truth is, I feel wealthy. Completely, genuinely wealthy. Yet my bank account tells a different story. I've been unemployed for 8 months and have very little money. But somehow I can't shake this feeling of abundance and prosperity. It feels more real than my circumstances." I looked at this man and said, "My friend, you have mastered the most important principle of wealth creation. You have learned to feel wealthy independent of external circumstances. Your consciousness of wealth is real, more real than your temporary financial condition. The external world must conform to your internal state." Within 6 weeks, this man had been offered a position that paid more than he had ever earned in his life. Within 6 months, he had become genuinely prosperous. But the most remarkable thing was this: his external transformation perfectly matched the internal state he had been maintaining all along. He had not faked wealth, he had felt wealthy, and feeling wealthy had attracted the circumstances that matched his consciousness. You see, money is not wealth. Money is merely the symbol of wealth, the external representation of an internal state. True wealth is a feeling, a consciousness of abundance, security, and freedom that exists completely independent of your bank balance. When you understand this distinction, you realize that you can be wealthy right now in this moment, regardless of how much money you currently possess. You can feel the security that money represents without having money. You can experience the freedom that wealth provides without being wealthy in financial terms. You can embody the consciousness of abundance before abundance appears in your bank account. But how do you feel rich when your circumstances seem to declare poverty? How do you embody wealth when your bills are unpaid and your account is empty? Let me tell you about a woman who discovered the answer to this question in the most practical way possible. She came to me drowning in debt, working 3 jobs to support her children, exhausted and desperate. "Neville," she said, "it's easy for you to talk about feeling wealthy, but I haven't had a full night's sleep in months because I'm worried about money. How can I feel rich when I can't even pay my rent?" I said to her, "You are trying to feel wealthy while focusing on the evidence of poverty. But consciousness cannot hold 2 opposite states simultaneously. You must learn to feel wealthy by focusing on what wealth feels like, not on what poverty looks like." I taught this woman a technique that changed her life forever. I said, "Every evening before sleep, I want you to lie in bed and feel what it would be like if all your financial worries were resolved. Don't think about how this could happen, just feel the relief, the security, the peace of mind that would come with having more than enough money." "But how do I feel something that isn't true?" she asked. "By understanding that feelings are not dependent on facts," I replied. "Right now, close your eyes and feel what it would be like to wake up tomorrow morning, knowing that all your bills were paid, that you had money in the bank, that you could provide generously for your children without struggle. Feel the lightness in your chest, the relaxation in your shoulders, the smile that would naturally come to your face." I guided her through this process step by step. Feel what it's like to check your bank account and see abundance instead of scarcity. Feel the confidence you would have in making financial decisions. Feel the generosity you could express toward others. Feel the security of knowing that money flows to you easily and consistently. She practiced this faithfully every night. At first it felt forced and unnatural because her daily reality contradicted these feelings. But gradually, something began to shift. The feelings of wealth became more natural, more automatic. She began to carry herself differently, speak differently, make decisions differently. Within 3 months, one of her part-time employers offered her a full-time position with benefits and a salary that was 3 times what she had been earning from all 3 jobs combined. Within a year, she had not only paid off all her debts, but had savings for the first time in her adult life. But the most remarkable transformation was in her relationship with money itself. She had stopped being afraid of money, stopped feeling guilty about wanting it, stopped believing that financial abundance was somehow wrong or unspiritual. She had learned to feel wealthy, and wealth had become her natural expression. This illustrates the most important truth about wealth consciousness. It's not about the amount of money you have. It's about how you feel about money and abundance. Some people with millions of dollars feel poor and insecure. Others with very little money feel abundant and free. The difference is not in their bank accounts, but in their consciousness. When you feel wealthy, you make decisions from abundance rather than scarcity. You speak about money with confidence rather than anxiety. You approach financial situations with calm certainty rather than desperate hope. And these changes in your consciousness create changes in your external circumstances. Let me share with you another story that perfectly illustrates this principle. A young entrepreneur came to me whose business was failing. He said, "Neville, I've tried everything to save my company. I've cut expenses, worked longer hours, borrowed money from family. Nothing works. I'm facing bankruptcy, and I don't know what else to do." I observed that everything he was doing came from the consciousness of financial desperation. His actions, while practical, were motivated by fear and lack. I said to him, "You are trying to create wealth from the consciousness of poverty. But poverty consciousness can only create more poverty, no matter how hard you work." I taught him to completely reverse his approach. Instead of focusing on saving his failing business, I showed him how to feel like a successful entrepreneur. Instead of worrying about bankruptcy, I guided him to experience the consciousness of financial success. Every morning before you go to your office, I instructed, spend 10 minutes feeling what it's like to run a thriving, profitable business. Feel the satisfaction of making wise financial decisions. Feel the confidence of someone whose company is growing and succeeding. Feel the peace of mind that comes with abundant cash flow. "But my business is actually failing," he protested. "How can I feel successful when the numbers say otherwise?" "Because feelings create facts, not the other way around," I replied. "Your current financial facts are the result of your past financial feelings. If you want new facts, you must generate new feelings. Feel successful now, and success will follow." This man learned to separate his feeling state from his financial circumstances. While he continued to handle practical business matters responsibly, he did so from the consciousness of wealth rather than poverty. He felt like a successful businessman even when his bank account suggested otherwise. The transformation was remarkable. Within weeks, he began making business decisions with greater clarity and confidence. New opportunities appeared that he had never noticed before. Clients began responding to him differently. His entire approach to business changed because his consciousness had changed. Within 8 months, his business had not only recovered, but had become more profitable than ever before. He had learned the secret of feeling wealthy before becoming wealthy, and this feeling had manifested as external success. Now let me address a common concern. "Neville, if I feel wealthy when I'm not, am I lying to myself? Am I living in denial of my financial reality?" The answer is that you are not denying your current financial circumstances. You are choosing to identify with a different level of truth. Your bank balance is one level of reality, but your consciousness is a deeper level of reality that can change any external circumstance. When you feel wealthy, you are not pretending that your bills don't exist. You are claiming the wealth that exists in consciousness and allowing it to manifest in physical form. You are not ignoring your current situation. You are creating a new situation through the power of feeling. Think of it this way. A seed planted in the ground does not deny that it is currently underground in darkness. But it does not identify with the darkness. It contains within itself the consciousness of the full-grown tree it will become. Your current financial circumstances are like the darkness around the seed. Your wealth consciousness is like the tree that already exists in potential. The key to feeling wealthy is to focus on what wealth represents rather than on money itself. Wealth represents security, freedom, peace of mind, the ability to be generous, the power to make choices based on preference rather than necessity. You can feel all of these things right now, regardless of your current bank balance. Let me tell you about a man who mastered this principle so completely that his transformation seemed miraculous to everyone who knew him. He was a taxi driver in New York City, working long hours for modest pay, supporting a large family in a small apartment. By all external measures, he was not wealthy, but this man had learned something profound. Wealth is a state of consciousness, not a financial condition. Every day as he drove his taxi, he would feel what it was like to be financially free. He would imagine that he was driving not out of necessity, but out of choice. He would feel the security of having abundant money in the bank. He would experience the peace of mind that comes with financial freedom. Most importantly, he would feel grateful for the abundance that already existed in his life. He appreciated his health, his family, his ability to work, the beauty of the city he drove through each day. He felt wealthy because he focused on the wealth of experience and opportunity that surrounded him constantly. One day a passenger left a briefcase in his cab. When he returned it to the man's office, he discovered that the passenger was a successful businessman who had been looking for someone exactly like him. Honest, reliable, hardworking to manage a new venture. Within a year, this former taxi driver had become a partner in a thriving business. But the most remarkable thing was that he carried the same consciousness of abundance into his new circumstances that he had maintained while driving the taxi. Wealth had not changed his consciousness. His consciousness had attracted wealth. He had felt rich as a taxi driver, and feeling rich had made him rich. This brings us to one of the most important aspects of wealth consciousness: gratitude for what you already have. You cannot feel genuinely wealthy while focusing on what you lack. Wealth consciousness begins with appreciation for current abundance, no matter how modest it may appear. Look around your life right now and notice the wealth that already exists. You have a roof over your head, food to eat, clothes to wear, air to breathe. You have the capacity to think, to feel, to imagine, to choose. You have access to knowledge, to beauty, to human connection. When you truly appreciate what you already possess, you discover that you are already far wealthier than you realized. A woman once came to me complaining that she could never feel wealthy because she had so little money. I said to her, "Let me ask you something. How much would someone pay to have your eyesight if they were blind? How much would someone give to have your mobility if they were paralyzed? How much would someone pay to have your freedom if they were imprisoned?" She began to cry as she realized the immense wealth she had been taking for granted. "I never thought of it that way," she said. "I am wealthy. I just hadn't been appreciating my wealth." From that moment forward, she began each day by feeling grateful for the abundance that already existed in her life. This gratitude created a consciousness of wealth that attracted even greater abundance. Within months, her financial situation had improved dramatically, but more importantly, she had learned to recognize and appreciate wealth in all its forms. The practice of feeling wealthy must become a daily discipline, especially in the moments before sleep when your subconscious mind is most receptive. Lie in bed each night and feel what it would be like if all your financial desires were fulfilled. Don't focus on the how or the when. Focus only on the feeling of having abundant money. Feel the security of knowing that you always have more than enough. Feel the freedom to make choices based on what you want rather than what you can afford. Feel the joy of being able to give generously to others. Feel the peace of mind that comes with financial abundance. Most importantly, feel grateful for the wealth that you are claiming. Gratitude seals the consciousness of abundance and makes it permanent in your awareness. But remember, feeling wealthy is not about greed or materialism. True wealth consciousness includes the wisdom to use money constructively, the generosity to share abundance with others, and the understanding that money is a tool for expressing your highest values, not an end in itself. When you feel genuinely wealthy, you naturally want to contribute to the welfare of others. You understand that abundance is meant to flow, not to be hoarded. You use your wealth to create beauty, to solve problems, to make the world a better place. I want to leave you with this truth. Wealth is your natural state. Abundance is your birthright. You were born to prosper, to thrive, to have more than enough for yourself and plenty to share with others. Any feeling of lack or limitation is a temporary condition that exists only in consciousness and can be changed by changing your consciousness. Feel rich now, my friends, not because you have money, but because you are consciousness itself, and consciousness lacks nothing. Feel wealthy because abundance is the truth of your being. Feel prosperous because prosperity is your natural expression. The money will follow because money always flows toward the consciousness that feels worthy of receiving it. But more importantly, you will discover that true wealth was never about money at all. It was about recognizing the infinite abundance of being that you have always been. Feel rich now, and discover that you have always been richer than you ever dared to imagine. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires. This is Best of Lectures. I will see you in the next video.